I think we just attach too much to the wrong things. And I think really if we could get people to look at all aspects of their life, and you alluded to it a little bit ago saying that, hey, is anything improving? Is your sleep getting better? Is your sex drive better? Is your mood better? Is your performance at work better? Is the image you're chasing getting better? Like there's so many things that sometimes, maybe this one thing that you're measuring doesn't move fast enough for you, but it's improving others. And I think that's the secret sauce, is learning to look at the other things and not get so attached to one or two different metrics that we all like to attach our success in working out to.
Yeah. Stop forcing your body to change. It doesn't work that way. If it feels like you're forcing your body, either your methods or your mindset are wrong. You got to fix them.
I feel like this is a direct shot at me.
No,
hold that, Adam.
No,
this is
you know what?
I've been going through this lately. Actually,
so much in our space, because again, it's the information comes from like these fitness fanatics, and it's like you have to force your body to grow. Yeah. You have to force your body to get lean. You have to force. You know what happens when you force your body? Your body wins eventually. You'll lose that battle because time is on the side of your body, and eventually, either your body breaks down, or your mind breaks down, or your willpower breaks down, or something happens and you stop. It just doesn't work. When you do it right, that doesn't mean it's not hard. Challenging is fine. There's nothing wrong with challenge. But if it feels like you're forcing something, then you got to reevaluate, what's going on.
It's really easy to say that. I think it's really tough to actually gauge that.
Totally.
I mean, I'm 20 years into this plus.
It's the eternal struggle.
And I shared with you off air, kind of the routine that I've been doing for the last almost month now. And I'm just kind of blown away by how little volume I'm training right now and the way my body is feeling and responding. Now, granted, I do know that I have years or decades at this point of training consistently and building a lot of muscle mass. So I know that's working to my advantage. I also know that my hormones are optimized. So I have that working to my advantage. But even so, the amount of lean mass that I'm holding on to while also kind of slowly leaning out and getting stronger and how little I'm training is wild to me.
You know what? Here's why. So I totally get what you said, but here's why that's not even relevant, because you still had to struggle with forcing your body. Same muscle memory, same hormones optimized, and I'm not picking on you because I do the same damn thing. But you went through, I mean, how many times have you gone through where you're literally like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to force it. I got to push it.
Yeah.
When you do everything right with nutrition and with exercise, it doesn't feel effortless in the sense that you're not challenging yourself. It feels effortless in the sense that it feels like you're working with your body. And we've all been through those stages. Yeah. Like if you've been working out for a long time, all of us can think of a time or a period where we're like, man, I was feeling so good. The workouts just seemed to work so well for me. I was eating right and it just felt so good, versus those periods of time where it was like, where you're running uphill on a treadmill and you're just pushing and your joints hurt and you're like, oh, I'm going to keep grinding through this. And oh, this diet, it's like, I hate myself through this whole process. It's no wonder people stop. And it's either the method or the mindset or both. Either one or two or both of those things are off.
Yeah, I think that I think this is like stages that people go through in terms of understanding their body and like how to be able to build habits that are beneficial. Because initially, you do have to have some sort of like mental discipline to get to a space where you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take on this challenge. And unfortunately, people like stick with that discipline of, I need to do this in spite of me, my body struggling completely through this. And it's like this throttle that they go all the way down with, instead of, the evolved version of that is realizing too that your body's sending all these signals that you need to be receptive to in order to then thrive in a whole nother category.
You know what the funny thing about that is, Justin, as you're saying this is totally coming to me, is it's all mental discipline. Yeah. You also have to be disciplined to not beat yourself up. You also have to be disciplined to realize that you're caring for yourself.
I'm glad you're saying that, because I was going to tell you that actually, the thing that's interesting to me is even how little I'm challenging myself in my workouts. Because it's easy for me to get into a workout, get into a rhythm, look for that sweat, look for that burn. Yeah. Like, you know, I can't wait to struggle a little. I like that. We're fitness people, right? So that's something that we all probably enjoy doing. But even that, I'm really trying to pull back on even that feeling of like, and because I'm sticking to only like 2 simple movements in a workout right now, it's easy for me to remember because I just deadlifted, you know, 4 days before or whatever like that, what I did. And so the way I look at it is as long as I'm moving the same weight or maybe a tiny bit more weight or getting 1 or 2 more reps out or moving the weight better, that's enough challenge for me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Like that, like, and that's it. Like, I don't need to like get after it even more or really increase the weight or add extra sets or tons more reps. Like, it's just like, all I want to do right now is like, okay, I deadlifted on, let's say, Tuesday. Here it is now Friday. I'm doing it again. I know what I moved weight wise. I know how many sets because it's easy to remember. I only did 2 exercises. And so how does the movement feel? Is it smoother? Am I better at it? Is it, and as long as I'm moving as much weight or even a tiny bit more and not allowing myself to go, ooh, that was so easy. Let's stack another quarter on, like, which is what I typically do.
Yeah. So, okay. So for all the mental discipline people out there, right? The hardcore people out there, like I'll pose this question. Okay. If you think of all, I don't know how many people live in America now, 300 million, I think, something like that, 350 million, something like that. If I guarantee you a much larger percentage of all 300 and some odd million people in America have had extremely grueling workouts and have gone on a diet. I could tell you with full certainty that a much smaller percentage develop a relationship with exercise and nutrition to where they eat right and exercise for the rest of their life.
For the long haul.
So where's the mental discipline? Right. Is it really in the, I can go beat the crap out of myself for a month or 2 and restrict my calories and lose 20 pounds and then gain it back? Or is the discipline really finding a way to do this forever, right? Where's the real challenge? Obviously, the challenge is in being able to do this forever. And so that's the entire point of this thing. And again, like, look, I can't tell you how many times I've had clients who I'll take under my wing, people who've worked out on and off forever, who've been on diets on and off forever. And then when I start training them, the first couple months, I'll get this. This feels like kind of easy. Like, are you sure this is going to work? Like, I don't know. And then, of course, 6 months later, it feels like my body fat's just coming off my body. How is this working? And it's like, okay, here's the deal. We're working with your body and that's what you have to do. Your body burns body fat and builds muscle because it wants to. You can't force it. If it doesn't want to, I promise you'll lose. I guarantee you there is no way to win that battle. At some point, either your mind is going to break or your body's going to break or both. So this isn't like, hey, this is a better way to do it. It's the only way to do it.
It's funny because it's mentally easier actually to go full blast, right? And it's also mentally easier to dismiss it completely.
Yes.
And so it's always that polar sort of pull, like when people think about fitness and how to like get back into it and approach it. And really it's that right dose. It's that one that you're pushing just enough, but you're also reserved just enough so you can come back and show up with good energy and keep going.
Yes. I mean, if you're following a program and you're trying to change your nutrition and you're seeing no improvements in your quality of life. And I use the word quality of life because I don't want to narrow it down to just like fat loss and muscle gain or strength gain, because oftentimes people ignore or they don't realize all the other improvements, and so they become too narrow focused. Like if it's just fat loss, you might miss the fact that you're sleeping better, you're moving better, you feel better, like that kind of stuff, right? So if you're doing these things and it's a new practice for you and you're getting 0 improvements in the quality of your life, that doesn't mean do more of what you're doing or go harder at what you're doing. That means look at it and say, okay, it's not working and it feels like I'm forcing myself. Obviously, I'm doing something that's not right. I'm not working with my body, and you have to reevaluate. Here's the other side of it. Even if the methods are right, your mindset might be wrong. So what's the difference between a good mindset and a bad mindset? Well, it's the difference between me saying, I don't want to eat that cookie, and I can't eat that cookie. Right? I don't want to eat that cookie is a good mindset. It means I've understood that it's not going to work for me. I understand it still tastes good, but I actually don't want it because what's more important to me is my health at the moment. I can't eat that cookie is a wrong mindset. That says, boy, do I want it. But the oppressive side of me that's telling me I'm a fat slob is saying you can't have it. Well, how long is that going to last? And then eventually what are you going to do? You're going to break free of those chains. You're going to rebel, and then you eat a whole box of cookies instead of just one.
You know what it is, though? I think that, and I think this is getting more challenging with time, right? That we want things to happen so fast. And the process of building muscle and burning body fat or losing body fat.
It hasn't changed.
Yeah, not only has it changed, but it takes a while.
Yep.
I mean, I just had this conversation with my client. So I've kept this whole time that we've podcasted, I've always had one client. And I like to have one client for this exact reason, because it just reminds me of somebody who's been with me for 7-8 years plus and has listened to almost all Mind Pump episodes, heard me coach a bajillion times, still has this struggle, right? Like she's getting ready for a trip that she has coming up. And, you know, I had set her on this plan, like eating wise, training wise, and you know, she reports back to me and she's frustrated because, you know, a week and a half went by and the scale hasn't moved. And I'm like, who cares? Your training volume is higher than it's ever been right now. There's a very good chance that your old mental gauge of where you, because she has this number in her head. Like, yeah, she's like Doug's age, and she has got attached to this number her whole life. When she's at that weight, she feels the best. But how we started training together years ago was I told her she was too much into cardio and what her body really needed was more strength training.
She probably has way more muscle.
And this is what I'm always trying to explain to her. I was like, so you got to get away from that, but it's so hard to break from that because she knows it. And then she focuses on these few areas on her body where she still hangs on and holds on to body fat. And we're talking about someone who's in pretty good shape. Like she's in good shape, right? Especially she's in great shape.
She's in phenomenal shape.
Yes.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So she's in great. In fact, she's in one of our programs or books we've used her for modeling because she's in such good shape. But yet she still has this idea of this weight. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. I said, you cannot look at the scale and then expect that just because you're dieting and you're training every day, whether it be you're going for these long hikes and walks or you're lifting, that the scale is going to always go down. Like you have more lean body mass on you. I think we just attach too much to the wrong things. And I think really if we could get people to look at all aspects of their life, and you alluded to it a little bit ago saying that, hey, is anything improving? Is your sleep getting better? Is your sex drive better? Is your mood better? Is your performance at work better? Is the image you're chasing getting better? Like there's so many things that sometimes, you know, maybe this one thing that you're measuring doesn't move fast enough for you, but it's improving others. And I think that's the secret sauce, is learning to look at the other things and not get so attached to one or two different metrics that we all like to attach our success in working out to.
Yeah, look, one of the things I love most about fitness, you know, health and that pursuit is it is an incredible vehicle for personal growth. And it's very unassuming, because what I mean by unassuming, and I've said this before, is like if you approach somebody and you say, hey, you know, would you like to do a personal growth course where you can just become a better person? A lot of people are going to be turned off. Like, I don't want to do that. But if you're like, hey, do you want to get, you know, nicer looking butt and, you know, ripped abs? Yeah, right? So they don't even realize that they're embarking on a personal growth journey. But let's think about this for a second. Let's eliminate everything but just the physical. You want to lose 30 pounds. Guess what you're trying to do? Become something completely different from what you are, because it's not just the physical body, but it's your lifestyle that represents. So name anything in your life where you can completely change yourself and do it in 30 days. It doesn't happen. Like I can't become a black belt in a martial art in 30 days. I can't learn to play the piano in 30 days. Addict, I can't. Yeah, right. You can go backwards real fast.
The opposite
in 30 days. But no, it's a bit of a process. So we can't look at it that way. And I know we have this kind of immediate gratification type society where, you know, you can take a pill or get
What's
a surgery.
So wild about that though is that's actually truly how you want it though. You want it to be difficult. You want it to take effort. You want it, even though you think you don't, it would lose its value and power if it was that easy that you snapped your fingers and your body would change. It's just like we brought this up before.
Don't value it.
If and when that pill does eventually come, that probably will come in our lifetime, that makes you just body fat melt off you or muscle build on you or find a way to hack it somehow, you'll lose a lot of the great benefits of the process of getting there.
And I'm so glad you said that, because growth in all senses only comes from being uncomfortable. It never, if everything's comfortable, you stay the same. Now, and I said that because I just said don't force your body. And people confuse that with what I'm saying right now. No. This pursuit is uncomfortable. The pursuit is going to be challenging. So don't confuse the two. It's not like, oh, Sal said don't force your body, so this should feel exactly the way I do when I don't exercise and I don't watch my diet. No. That's not what I mean. What I mean is there's a difference between, look, okay, here's the deal. You can feel pain because you tore your bicep, or you can feel pain because you worked your bicep out. Two different kinds of pain. They're both pain, both uncomfortable. You got to learn the difference. There's a difference between forcing your body and working with your body. They're both uncomfortable. One is sustainable. One leads to permanent personal growth or this lifelong pursuit of growth. The other one leads to on and off. The other one makes you stop eventually. So that's the point that I'm trying to make. Now, the problem and the reason why the message is so messed up in our space is it's dominated by the ripped, sexy, fit-looking people in our space, because it's a media space, just like almost any other space. And most of these people are fanatical, and most of them have a dysfunctional relationship with exercise and nutrition. So the message you're going to get from them is what they do for themselves. No, you just got to look, you got to eat the same thing every day. You got to grind it out. You got to, balls to the wall. Well, yeah, because you're crazy. Yeah. You're unhealthy in a different way. You look good, but really, if we really analyze your life and everything about
nobody wants to hang out with you.
And believe me, like, we know this. We live in the space, okay? Let me tell you, like, and we've said this before, some of the most unhealthy people mentally, psychologically, and so on are the people, and even physically, even though they look a particular way, are in our space. But that's the message. You get that message from those people all the time. So that's why it sounds that way. It also sells stuff very easily. I can push pain points on this show right now and sell somebody by making them feel shitty about themselves, making them feel inadequate, and then hyping the shit out of them, making them feel a spark of motivation, which is going to fade in 10 to 12 weeks. But in that period of time, sell you some stuff. I can sell you some stuff. So that's why that message comes from. But look, here's the truth. This is the truth. We train people for years and years and years, and you figure this out after you lose clients every 3 months. Like, you get someone in shape and then they're gone after 3 months, and you get someone else in shape, and eventually, if you really care about people, what am I doing? It's not working. You got to figure this out. And eventually, after, I don't know, 10 years of training people, you're like, oh, you can't force this. This is a process of learning how to work through the process, and it improves the quality of your life. And it's your mindset or your methods. You got to examine those two things. And if you're trying to force it and push all the time, I promise you'll lose. Nobody in the history of the world has ever won that battle of forcing their body. It just doesn't work.
Well, I think the first mistake that anybody makes, and this goes out to anybody who's listening right now, is thinking that you have it all figured out. As long as we've been doing this, and I think that's the point of this conversation, and why we share the things we do on the podcast is not to stand up here and to point and to tell people, oh, we have it all figured out. Fuck, I don't have it all figured out. I'm still figuring it out.
I figure it every day. I got to figure it out.
So, I think that's part of the key is where you mess up in this is where you think you've got it all figured out, and that you should always be pursuing, growth and learning. And I mean, again, it's I think a lifelong pursuit, and looking at the end goal or the end result all the time as like the place that you're trying to get is a mistake. It's learning.
Bro,
about
I struggle with this all the time. I mean, it's like I'll feel a little joint pain, so then I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna take this supplement, or I'm gonna add this new mobility movement, and I'm gonna add this thing to it, or oh, I don't have enough energy, I'm gonna add this new stimulant or this new thing. Eventually, I gotta take a step back and be like, why does my body feel like this? I exercise all the time. I hate right. I shouldn't be feeling this way. Wow. I take a step back. And like clockwork, what happens? My body responds in a wonderful way. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay, take your own advice, Sal. Yeah. So it ain't easy. Definitely not easy.
Yeah, you always got to check your motivation. That's just something that I'm always like evaluating to see where it's going. What's fueling it? Is this more self-flagellating kind of motivation where I'm like, I'm not good enough, or whatever, like all that garbage that you're kind of bringing into it, versus like, I'm enjoying this, and this is something that I'm just going to continue to do because it makes me feel good, and I'm a better person as a result of it.
What's up, everybody? Today's giveaway, MAPS Anabolic, the original MAPS program, the one that people love the most, for free. You get that for free, but here's how you can win. You got to leave a comment below in the first 24 hours that we drop this episode. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications. If we like your comment, we will notify you in the comment section that you won, and you got free access to MAPS Anabolic. By the way, we will never contact you through WhatsApp or Telegram. There's some scammers trying to rip people off. That's not us. We let you know in the comment section, and then we'll give you the program for free if you win. Also, we got a sale going on right now. We have 2 workout bundles. The first one is the Skinny Guy bundle. MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Aesthetic, No BS 6-pack formula, intuitive nutrition guide, and the occlusion training guide, all bundled together in a beautiful little package, 50% off. And then we also have a bundle called the Fit Mom Bundle. This includes MAPS Anywhere, MAPS Anabolic, MAPS HIT, and then Intuitive Nutrition Guide. That bundle is also 50% off. You can find both of them by clicking on the link at the top of the description below to get that discount. All right, here comes the show. Speaking of feeling good and garbage in your body, did you guys, so you sent us, I think it was you that sent us a clip of Huberman talking about alcohol metabolism.
Yeah.
There are actually people who have so little alcohol dehydrogenase that when they ingest alcohol, they get very red and they just feel sick.
Oh, how great was that, right? Because of who we work with Z-Biotics.
I actually DM'd him. Him and I were talking back and forth. I messaged him and said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Z-Biotics?" And he's like, "No, what's that?" And so I actually sent him a clip of us interviewing Zach, and then also sent like a little blurb on like. I wish it was you having that conversation because you can explain the science so much better than I can. And Huberman is like a super nerd like you, and so
put a cape on me.
Yeah, super nerd. Yeah. I'm like, you're talking to the wrong Mind Pump host right now because he's asking like, oh, you want me to tell him?
He's practiced
like,
acetaldehyde in the mirror like 20 times.
Acetaldehyde. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I sound like I'm gonna try and explain it to you. Let me send you links.
Something about ass.
Yeah. But I heard him talking about it, and right away I was like, "Oh shit, Z-Biotics!" I'm like, literally, he's breaking down the science.
Was this a video on Instagram?
Yeah, it's on one of his reels.
He was talking about why some people have this reaction to alcohol where they get really flushed and they don't feel good and they just can't drink alcohol. And basically, it has to do with their genetics, but they're unable to break down the acetaldehyde byproduct of alcohol.
Which, by the way, sorry to interrupt you, but what was like a huge switch for me when I saw that clip and why I sent it to you guys is it explains to me why some people think Z-Biotics is life-changing and other people are like, oh, kind of, not really. Like if you're somebody, if your body processes that, at least this was my takeaway.
Breaks it down a little
if it breaks it down more effectively.
Because it's like a scale. Right? Some people are way over here, one drink of alcohol, and they just feel so terrible. I have a friend like that.
Yeah.
Where he drinks, he stays away from because he thinks he's allergic.
Yeah,
is what he says. And then there's people way over here where
like Katrina.
Where you just like, what do you got, like 6 livers? Like how does this?
Yeah, no, it blows my mind how she can drink compared to me. And and I'm closer to that spectrum, and that's why like when I talk about Z-Biotics, I'm not bullshitting. Like it has been that. I mean, Katrina's been with me for 12 years. She'll tell you. I've drank more in the last. It sounds like it's a great commercial, but terrible for me. I've drank more in the last 3 years.
I just see the meme. Just like
I'm going to sell the shit out of Z-Biotics right now, but it's terrible for a health podcast. I've drank more in the last 3 years I have the previous. Yeah, no, really though.
Damn right.
And that's still not a lot, right? But I mean, I stayed away from alcohol completely because I'm closer to that spectrum of somebody. I don't think I'm allergic to it, but I definitely know like. It's like every time I would grab a drink, I always know that I'm like rolling the dice. Like, am I going to feel like shit tomorrow?
Dude, I had a buddy.
Just from a drink or two.
Dude, so I have a buddy. So I went to hang. I'm not going to give too many details. I don't want to call this person out. But, you know, I went out with a bunch of my buddies and cousins. And, you know, we're all like now in our 40s. So we're all hanging out. And, you know, we have this one buddy who doesn't drink because this is him. Like one drink and he just feels terrible. It feels so bad, right? So he's getting razzed by come on, have a drink. Come on. And I finally stood up and I got so, thank God I had Z-Biotics. So, but I stood up and it was like a nice commercial. But I said, bro, I said, you think so-and-so, by the way, this guy, we know him. And I'm just going to say he's a maniac, okay? I said, you think so-and-so who's done this, and this is afraid of drinking? I said, he's a grown man. He knows it.
We'll just call him Chet.
Yeah, we know he knows what's not good and what's anyway. So I told him about Z-Biotics. Actually, I should text him and find out if he tried it because I said, I wonder if you your body may not break down acetaldehyde very much. A lot of it gets released in your gut. And that's what ZBiotics does. Is that
I know. I got so pumped when I saw Huberman talking about that, because I'm like, the guy's got one of the biggest podcasts right now that he's blowing up, and everybody respects his opinion. Very level head. I don't know how much you guys watch his stuff or not.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for when we finally
great content.
Yeah, eventually we will cross paths and get him on the show. So that I know our people have been in conversation with him. And for our audience, the only reason why we haven't already is because he happens to be on a list of people that we want to do in person. Like sometimes we'll do some interviews over Zoom or whatever like that, because whatever, it's not, to us, it's not that big of a deal, just being honest, if we meet him or not. But then there's some people that like
everybody that was on Zoom with us now knows. They feel like,
hey, you know.
Yeah,
so, but no,
list.
it doesn't necessarily mean that like we don't like them or anything like that. But we feel like, okay, their message will do fine over Zoom. Maybe it seems like somebody like whatever about me.
We want to meet it. We want him in person.
Yes, he's somebody who I really, or we all really want to meet, and so we're waiting for the opportunity for when both our schedules align, and so we will for certainly do something with him, because I really like what he's putting out.
Dude, I got to tell you guys yesterday. So yesterday we hung out with my parents a little bit. So my parents just had their 45th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
45 years, right? Isn't that amazing? Anyway, so they went and they went to go celebrate. They stopped by my house first to see the baby. And I told my dad, take my car. So I have, I have a sports car, and my dad loves cars. He's like, no, I don't want to do it. Oh, come on. I said, Dad, take the car. Just go enjoy yourself. You guys drive, whatever. So they did, and they had a good time. Then they came back, and we all hung out together. And, my dad is just, he's talking about, I took the curve this fast and I went that fast. And my mom's like, your dad drives a little too. We're having this conversation. And then he's just talking about how proud he is that his kids, can get nice things and this stuff. Started telling stories of how, when he was growing up. And I've heard some of these stories before, but for the first time, like I'm listening to my dad and I'm feeling like this tremendous empathy and like, holy shit, that's crazy. Because I've heard these before. When you're a kid and you hear stories, it doesn't process. Like that was crazy.
Yeah, a lot of pride from it before.
Before it was all pride, but now I'm like, oh man, like
damn, that sucks.
Oh, bro, because he's telling Jessica, because Jessica hasn't heard some of these, and he's like, he goes, I stopped going to school when I was 9 years old. Which is like, what? He goes, yeah, we couldn't afford. I had to go to work. So he's talking about how he used to work when he was 9 years old, and how he'd give his mom the money. And he goes, and then, I would ask my mom, I said, Mom, my feet don't fit in my shoes anymore. My toes are bleeding. And she would look at me and go, we have to wait one more month. He goes, she would cut the front of my shoes so that my toes would come out.
That's so crazy.
So he wore sandals, basically,
that's so
for a
crazy,
whole month, so he could afford it. And, so he's telling all these different, they're talking about when they first came to this country. And he says, he goes, we had no money. And he goes, I worked really hard. He goes, I didn't speak any English. So, I would go to work and the guy would say, give me a hammer. He goes, I'd bring the whole toolbox because I didn't know what a hammer was. I had to learn what the language was. And he goes, when you were born, when you were like 2 or 3, he goes, you used to like McDonald's. Somebody gave you McDonald's French fries. You loved it. He goes, so we saved our money so I could take you to McDonald's twice a month. And then he goes, your mom and I would eat at home, and we'd take you there to get McDonald's. He goes, and then I started working and I had a little more money. He goes, I could finally go McDonald's. He goes, so I was in line. He's telling the story and I'm listening to this. I'm like, this is crazy. He goes, I was in line and I was so excited because I could get a Big Mac and French fries. And he goes, all these people behind me, I get up to the front and he goes, and I'm telling the guy, Big Mac and French fry. And he goes, and the guy goes, what?
Oh, he's not saying Big Mac French fry. He's probably speaking.
Yeah, I said it way better, right?
Yeah.
He goes, I kept saying it, and the guy looked at me, he goes, I don't understand. He goes, all the people waiting behind me. He goes, I was so embarrassed. He goes, I don't know what this. He goes, finally, I went around the desk and I pointed to it and he gave it to me. He goes, I'm eating by myself. And he goes, I felt so embarrassed. And I'm looking at him like, oh, this fucking he was like 20. He's like a 20-year-old kid doing this shit. Imagine
the cojones to leave to another country where you do not speak the language as a teenager and not have anything lined up and not be able to speak the language and not have a degree, much less even elementary school.
You didn't go to
level.
Junior high, nothing.
That's crazy to me.
It's wild. I mean, my mom says if they bought napkins, she would have to cut them into pieces so they'd have like little extra napkins. They had to save everything. It's just, and he worked. I mean, he worked 7 days a week for as long as I can remember. Even he always made dinner. He always would come to dinner. But there was a point when they first got married where he said that if they had night work, he would take it too. So he would work, then he'd go to the shop and sleep for 3 hours and go back to work. And he would do this for like 3-4 days in a row until he finally had to go home, get a normal night. So he's telling the story, and I'm like, oh my gosh. How in the heck
I just feel so soft every time I hear stories.
I know,
I'm just
right?
like, oh.
I can't
Well,
believe
you know another thing too. I've heard you tell some of these stories, and the more and more I hear you tell, what I realize is that you guys were actually more poor than I think we were. And I think in the podcast, people probably think because I've told some or hinted to or told some stories about a little bit of my childhood. Yeah. I just think that my parents didn't have the discipline your parents did. Like, yeah, I think we absolutely had as much income or more income. They were just horrible with it. So we ended up getting evicted from houses. I've seen food stamps. We've had the church donate food to us a bajillion times. Like, but that's because they would get a little money and then they would spend all of it. Because we had things like soda and ho-hos and stuff like that inside our house where it's like, and looking back now as an adult, and I think about like those tough times, I go like, man, that was so irresponsible. The things that we were buying and doing. Where I feel like your family was just like,
yeah, my mom made she made our bread, she made our pasta. We ate meat once a week if we could afford it. I mean, she made it. I was in cloth diapers. You know, again, my dad worked as many jobs, and so we spent nothing. And when we did go on a trip, it was a big deal. And the trip was usually driving an hour and a half up to the hills over here to go camping. That would be our trip. And we'd all sleep in one tent and we do that. And then that was a big, you know, vacation type of deal.
We did very similar, like all camping growing up. And the only thing I mean, that's crazy. But one thing that my parents did do a lot was make everything. My dad like built our entire house. Like everything we had was like built or like you know, something from like the bargain bar. So it's like a secondhand.
Did he really build the house you guys lived in? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he built the house.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, everything. Like,
how old were you when he did that?
I wasn't born yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my brother was, and so they actually were like staying at my mom, like my grandparents for a bit.
Were you raised in that house?
Yeah.
Oh, so, and were you only in that one house?
Only in the one house.
No shit, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is, they're just so much more resourceful and like handy, and that's where that whole handy stuff. Like my dad's been trying to pass it on to me forever, just because, like, you know, we went through a lot of like moments where we didn't have any money, and we just had to figure it out in terms of like, you know, trade or like build things and then sell the things that we built, right? And so I helped him sometimes with that, and like we would build sheds, and I would go to you know, do jobs and stuff in the neighborhood with him, and we would just go to neighbor and we'd get money that way. But yeah, it was like it's different times, you know. It's like it's these different kind of values that get instilled that way. I feel like, you know, it makes you think about that, like your next generation of the kids after you. You're like, oh man, like I don't want to lose all of that, you know, because it's good to have that.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that you came from that much of humble beginnings either. I really thought that you were.
I think that's why although we're all different, we have a lot in common.
I was going to say I wish we had like the actual income of our parents we could compare. It's probably pretty damn close.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, I was misguided because I thought we were fine, you know, because like growing up, you know, I just
but that's like, awesome to me.
Same here. I didn't realize
they did a really good job of not letting us know we were poor.
Yeah, I didn't realize it either.
Yeah,
I had no idea. Even though my mom would make my Halloween costumes.
It's amazing that the three of us are friends with Doug, considering he came from so much white privilege.
I never.
Which is not really true.
Yeah, getting dropped off in a Bentley.
Fucking rich kid over here.
He's a Vanderbilt.
Fucking yuppie.
Ivy Leaguer over here. Yeah.
Hey, my dad built our house too.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he's a middle school principal. He didn't have a huge income.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And they scrimped and saved, and it paid off.
Yeah, it's their practices. It's like like financial practices, and just like with exercise and nutrition, it's like, you know what it is. You look at the people who make it big, and you think, wow, you just make it big, and that's usually it's this daily. Like my dad was telling us, he goes, I tell you what, he goes, it's like and he used the analogy of a car. It's like you're in first gear, second gear, third. He goes, but then when you're cruising, you can start to cruise. He goes, it took us decades before we were kind of cruising. He goes, but literally, it was day to day where we barely made it. We barely made it, but we didn't buy nothing. I mean, we never, to this day, if I tell my dad I got my oil changed, he doesn't say anything. I know he bites his tongue, but I can see the look on his face, because to him, he's like, or like I have a gardener who mows the lawn. He came over once. There was a guy mowing my lawn, and I could see my dad.
Who's a stranger mowing your lawn right now?
My dad. Hey, no. He stands there like this on his hands on his, and he watches the guy, make sure he does a good job. He's like watching the guy, observing him the whole time.
Now, do you okay? So, how much do you guys, and Doug, you included too with Bree? Like, I'm curious, how much do you guys communicate to your kids about finances? I know Justin brought up on the show a long time ago. I loved what he did with the kids and the chores and everything like that. But how much conversation, especially you, since yours are, and you, because you guys are both getting like teenage years where like money is probably more obvious to them. Like what do you guys do right now to instill like good behaviors around it, or to include them in on the finances?
Boy, that's a tough one, because it's hard, because I've never been in this situation before. Right? I wasn't like this when I was a kid, but I think it was Arthur Brooks who told me, I think it was him, that one of the best things you could do for that is to have your kids volunteer their time. He says, because that will teach them. And then I don't remember what movie. I was watching a movie, and there was a wealthy family in the movie. It was depicted in like the 1800s. And then the wealthy family was in, I don't remember where they were, but they were volunteering their time helping people who were starving. And the mother had a conversation with their boy, and the boy was like 7 in the movie. And they're really, really super rich, right? And the conversation she had with him was, we were blessed to have this abundance. We have a responsibility to be a good example, to help others, and to create things that helps others. And I said, wow, what a different message versus the, we're rich, we should feel guilty.
Yeah.
Which is totally different, right? Feeling guilty is different than saying, I'm in this position. I feel a really the sense of pride and responsibility to do something good, because I'm in this position. Totally different. So that's what I try to communicate to them. It's like, hey, you have this talent, you have this ability, do something with it, because you have a responsibility to contribute to society in a good way. Not like like, oh, you should feel bad for this or guilty for it. It's like, no, you're in a position to do something with it, then do something. Don't waste it, type of deal.
Doug, do you and Bree have conversations around this?
We do sometimes. Yeah, I try to give her some little hints and tips along the way without being too preachy.
Yeah.
One of the things we had a little conversation about was paying herself first. In other words, when you start working and you start making money, you carve some of that off and you put that away first. You pay yourself before you pay anybody else. Because most people go through life, they're paying everybody else first. And then by the time they get to saving some money and keeping some for themselves, they have nothing. And so they have nothing by the time that they're retirement age. But Bree's really, actually, she's quite funny. She's very careful with money. She's not like, oh, it's Dad's money, I'm going to go blow it.
I don't think that's funny at all. I think out of everybody, you're the one who's the most conservative with your money. She's learning it from her dad.
Well, probably. I mean, so, but the thing is, some kids take advantage of that, right? It's like, oh, yeah, it's Dad's money, it doesn't matter. He'll buy it. Oh, I broke this, no problem. He'll get a new one, that type of thing. No, she's like really careful with that. And so we're shopping. I go shopping with her every so often. And we're at the store, and she goes, oh, I like that, but it's too expensive,
Oh, great.
I mean, I think that's a testament to you, Doug. I mean, we've talked about this before. Kids don't do what you say, they do what you do.
100%.
And I think your behaviors around money, okay, I know I've only been with you for a little over 7-8 years now, you have incredible discipline around that.
He's not a miser. He's just not.
No, I tease him like he's a miser. He's not a miser, but you take care of the things that you do buy. You don't buy you don't spend money frivolously. You save, you invest, so I mean, she's old enough and smart enough to see that, So I think that
one thing that I've done, this was from Jessica that I thought was really good, because you go through this as a parent. You buy your kids something, and then they don't wear it or they don't use it. So they'll ask for something. Oh, can I have this? And then you get it, and then they don't use it or they don't wear it, right? So they got to pay it back. So that's what I started doing. Hey, that dress that I got that you don't wear, it cost me this much. So
Oh shit.
you have to pay for it.
Dude, we've done some real similar where we have them put on like Facebook Market and then they have to sell it. So like,
I like
Courtney's
that.
been helping
That's
them
even
with that.
better.
So
because then they have to learn the process.
Poshmark, or there's like, but that's the thing, that we didn't have those resources at our disposal back then. But it's like bring it into like sort of this 20, this new kind of landscape that we have. Like it's basically like your lemonade stand at this point. Right?
That is that's so true.
Yeah,
I didn't even
so
think
we're
that's
trying
brilliant.
to do that more, because it's like, don't disrespect your stuff. Like all this stuff has value.
Yeah.
And and that's just the whole thing, is like, I don't want it to be like Doug's saying, like, it's like, I have this and it's just like, oh, well, you'll just get me another one.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're not getting another one.
No, I love that idea. Like, I'm trying to think, of course, I'm ahead of myself a little bit, right? Because my son's only 3, but there'll come a time real soon here where I can communicate things. And what a great idea, because the kids already got way too many toys, in my opinion, as it is. And some of them have like tracks that are got a lot of value to them that I could probably flip on Facebook. So teaching him that when he comes to me eventually, right, when he probably gets around 6 and 7, when that age where they're starting to like really ask for things, like, okay, you want that? Well, that's this much. We need to sell so much stuff of this in order to buy that.
Show them how to do it.
Yeah, I really like
that's
that.
so good. You want?
Yeah, I really like that
We
idea.
just literally started it, so I'll let you know how it goes. But.
So I
What
said,
a good skill too.
yeah, no, great skill, right? So you teach them how to do it, and then in addition to that too, it makes them like really go, oh wow, do I really want that new toy? Because if I got to sell these 5 things that I kind of like, maybe I won't. Maybe I don't want it that bad.
You want to know what's crazy about this is that she reads a lot about child psychology development. She's also incredibly intuitive. So trip off this, right? So obviously, okay, so Aurelius is like, what is he, 22 months now? And people always, we have a big family. I mean, you guys know this. And people want to buy your kids shit all the time. So if we put all those toys out, it's just a bunch of toys. She goes, check this out. When I take 90% of the toys and put them in storage, and I only put out 2 or 3 and make it look well organized, he plays more. And it's true.
Yeah.
He actually goes and plays more. And she's reading how kids get overwhelmed. When they have a bunch of
too
shit,
much,
they end up doing
Totally.
nothing. When they have like 2 or 3 things and it looks clean, they go and they actually spend more time. So actually, it's not just
more inviting.
It's also wasteful, even because they don't use it.
Yeah, we teach Max. So Katrina teaches Max this right now, so we have that closet that we converted, and I have everything like stored nice and Tupperwared out and like containers of like different types of toys, because he does have a bajillion toys. But he's only allowed to bring like a couple out at a time. So it's like he gets his cars out, and then you can play cars. And then when he wants to do something else and he goes in there, we stop him and we go, hold on, let's put your monster trucks away, and then you can pull that out. And then you can play with that for a while. Then okay, so similar kind of like thing. I really like and I'm trying to think of, obviously, again, I'm early, but I'm trying to wrap my brain around how I'll do this. But I sent that video over to you guys of Alex Hormozy and Grant Cardone conversation, which was a great conversation.
Great investment conversation.
Great conversation. It's on YouTube. It's on Alex Hormozy's YouTube channel. It's about an hour conversation that he had with Grant that he paid huge money to have, by the way, and he put live for people to watch. I thought was great. But Grant, and it was just a short minute, he kind of went over it real quick, and I thought, oh, that's cool. He teaches his kids about passive income. So when they want something, he actually gets them to take their money, that whether it be allowance or they earned it doing chores or whatever it is, and instead of going and buying that toy, convinces them to invest it and wait until the investment starts to pay dividends or has a passive income, and then you can take your passive income and buy whatever you want. And so he's constantly teaching them to take the money and invest it in things that will create money, and then wait until that builds up enough to go buy what you want. So
yeah, that's the difference between earning an hourly wage and having your money make money for you. That's how you build. Otherwise, if you're earning an hourly wage, your 2 options are make more per hour at some point, like how far is that going to go, or work more hours, which is a lot more.
It's the grind.
Is a lot more time. Yeah, it's super smart. I think I do that with well, not that, but I talk with my kids about education that way, just because. I mean, in this, we're seeing this right now with the whole, college tuition forgiveness thing or whatever, is that a lot of kids, and part of it is they've been told this message. Another part of it is that the market signals are so skewed because we guarantee everybody these loans for college. Nobody's looking at the market viability of their education and saying, is the debt worth what this is going to get me on the market, which is a real conversation that you have to have.
Yeah.
So with my kids, now I can pay for their college, but I still say this to them. What do you want to learn? Is it worth X amount of dollars that we're going to pay for it? If it's not worth that, like if you want to get a degree in art history, that's fine, but go find a place that'll do it for $500, because that degree on the market isn't going to earn you $100,000. It's just not going to earn you, which is fine. You can learn it. There's a lot of ways to learn stuff, but it ain't worth $100,000 of debt, because that art history degree is not worth that.
It's so stupid that you have to even have that conversation, because, and I've heard you talk about this before, and it's so true. And it baffles me that it's not this way. But the reason why you even have to have that conversation is those loans are protected. And if it was done like a car loan, a house loan, any other loan that you have to do, and it could, because they keep it to where you can't file for bankrupt. You can't get rid of your student loans in bankrupt. If they allowed it to get forgiven in bankruptcy, then that would force the underwriters to write the loan according to the value of what it will project to get. And that would solve that issue completely.
Yes, and also they're federally backed in many other ways. They say it has to be, we have to give everybody money because everybody needs to have an education. So what happens is you go to the bank and you say, I want a loan for college. Well, you're going to get it. If it was market-based, you would go.
Well, just simply.
Well, meanwhile, the colleges know that you're getting these loans, so they can hike their prices up to astronomical amounts.
By the way, it's not that the college, like there's a guy who owns colleges, and he's like, yeah, and he's rubbing his hands. It's just a market.
No.
So if you went to the bank and you said, hey, I want to get a loan for $50,000 for a degree. If it was market based, you know what the college would say? What degree? Let me look at your credit score. Let me look at your history.
Yeah.
Is there collateral? And you're like, well, I want to get an art history degree. And they're gonna be like, I'm sorry, I'm picking on that just off the top of my head. They're gonna be like, we're not gonna give you 50 grand for that. Well, computer science. Okay,
right.
I think we'll give you.
Or we will, and you're going to get charged a crazy interest rate, so they can get a big chunk of that out. Or you need to put a down payment on that, or you need to put some collateral up on it. Like if it was just done like every other loan is done, it would solve that conversation.
You would have, you know how many options you would have, by the way, for school if it wasn't so easy to get money. You'd still, education is still required, marketplace still requires it. You would just have a lot more options. You wouldn't pay $300 for a textbook in a college course, because there would be colleges that would say, hey, you know what? We got kids that want to go to school here. They can't get a loan for whatever reason. It's all streaming here. Come to our college. We'll only charge you this much. You'd have way more competition. Instead, you have these resort colleges. I'm touring them because my son's going to go to college in a year. I'm going on some of these universities. Like, what the? No wonder they're so expensive. Yeah. The best gyms I've ever seen. I've been in gyms my whole life. I've never seen gyms as amazing as these college gyms. I mean, they put commercial gyms to shame. I see stuff on campuses, restaurants and lounge areas. Like, I'm sending my kid to freaking an all-inclusive resort. No wonder it's so expensive, you know? But why? Because everybody's got money to pay for these schools. So the price, if you look at inflation and then you match up the cost of higher education far exceeds it. And what they're going to do by forgiving, and I'm going to go on a rant, but by quote unquote making the taxpayer pay for these loans, is they're just throwing gasoline on the fire, making it
the guys from All In Podcast. If you don't listen to that podcast, had such a great conversation around this topic, and I thought like Freeberg nailed it again. Like he actually went off on it because he just thinks it's like destroying our country by doing this.
It is, and in today's market with streaming, where I could literally send an information almost for free instantly, it makes zero sense that you're going to get a degree in whatever you're going to do, unless it's a highly competitive market and a highly regulated. Like if you want to be a doctor, there's only one way to go. You have to go to certain. But for a lot of degrees, it makes no sense. I'm going to go take out a loan for $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 to get it. Only reason why that happened is that the market has been so skewed by well-intentioned people and economic ignorance by the average voter. Because right now the average voter is like, yeah, we should forgive loans, not realizing you're literally adding more to the same reason why it's so crazy in the first place. You're going to make this problem so much more worse. Forget the moral issue of the reason why, like, it's weird that we're making people pay for other people and whatever. It's going to make the problem worse. But, you know, that's what ends up happening.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and we keep skewing the market. So we'll see. College will get approximately $20,000 more expensive here in a second as soon as they start forgiving.
Yeah, Justin hit that. So true.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Meanwhile, Missouri's bringing back paddling for punishment. Right?
Oh,
What?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Do you hear about that?
I'm so pro that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I figured you would be.
There was one, was it one school?
That's
you
half
sure?
of what's
Can I have
wrong with this
another?
generation. They didn't get spanked, bro. Fucking
Beating
A.
kids is not the solution. This was one school, or was it the whole? Like,
Yeah,
what's the deal?
it was one school in a district, but yeah, I think there's other states that actually
They can
allow
do that?
corporal punishment still within school districts. I looked that up, Doug, but I just thought that was crazy. It's like in terms of where we are now in today's landscape and everything, it's like all of a sudden now you're seeing sort of this regression now. Like, well, maybe because we got so out of whack, it's this crazy correction.
I disagree with this, but I will. You know, it's funny.
You know what though? You go back to your. If I wish it was like this, and I wish it was free market. Like I don't think that everybody should. I think it should be in a situation where we could. I would love to compare. I would love to have schools that do, the schools that don't. It's your choice as a kid. You could go where you want, and then let the market decide.
Sure.
To be fair, too, I guess this all required parents to opt into this.
Of course,
so, yeah. So like they
And there's a limit,
accepted
right?
it, and then some parents opt out.
I can't be the only person who's pro spanking, dude.
But-
There's no
but
way.
hold
There's
on,
no
let's-
way.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Yeah, come on.
you just want to see you just want to see other
but
people's kids get
yourself,
spanked. That's all.
I don't know about a teacher. Yeah,
I mean, I've
You get a
definitely
little
felt that
overzealous.
before. Where you're at the grocery store and you see some kid and you just wish, like, I hope that mom
Somebody
just gives him a
goes
good
smack
spanking.
him. Yeah.
You know, I read an article on. So this was a common thing.
I actually think that Jordan Peterson talks about it really well in his book 12 Rules. I think he does a really good
What
job.
do you say about this?
Oh, yeah, he's pro it. He's pro and
There's a whole caveat in there. That's right, I remember.
That's right. You don't take what I'm saying out of context. Like, go read the damn book, right? So I think it's chapter 6 in 12 Rules of
Yeah, I remember
life.
that. Yeah. Page 47.
I do, because actually it was Katrina and I went through that book together, and it's an area where I didn't know where she stood on it and where I stood on it. We actually had a really good conversation around it, and I think at a certain age, and when you're trying to grab the attention of the kid over something that is very, very important.
Oh, like they're sticking something in an outlet.
That's
or
right.
something like
That's right. Or they walk over and they hit another kid, or they do something like that, where you want to catch it in that moment of this behavior is unacceptable. It takes that little, and you're doing it as a shock and awe, not to hurt the kid. Like, you don't. It's not. It's like, and anybody who's been a parent, see, like, I can tell how quick I can make my son, like, stop in his tracks with my voice. So it wouldn't take much to whack him on the butt to get his attention of, like, oh, that's not a good behavior, especially since you don't do it. It's just, so I do believe.
I have personal,
and I know I'm going to get all kines of hate for that stuff.
I have my own personal belief. I'm against it for the. I spanked my kids twice, and I remember both times because I just didn't feel right. It's like this little human. And I spanked this. I remember I spanked my son's hands, and I was like, I still feel bad about it to this day. Like, I could have done it. I could have been different about it. But anyway, I read an article about paddling, because this was common practice in America.
It was
for a long time, and they think in this article they speculated that the reason why getting your bottom spanked became like the sexual thing for adults was because teenage boys were getting spanked during the time when they were coming of age and feeling sexual urges. So you got this older teacher spanking your butt. You're getting, and they became imprinted with this and sexual arousal.
Sure.
And so they think this is the reason why.
Why the madams and mistresses became a thing.
You're naughty. Oh, sorry,
Rips and chains excite me.
I know. It's so funny. Sorry. Anyway, Adam, how's your fast going? You want to tell everybody on your...
I'm on day 2 right now. Day 2.
So you're doing 3 full days.
Yeah, so it's going to be my first time actually going 72 hours. So I've never done 3 full days. I've done 2 days a few times, and quite a few times I've done single days. But, I was thinking about it a while back, and we used to talk about it a lot. Remember, there was a kick that you went on for a while where almost every month you were kicking a month off with like a fast. And, it's been a while since I had done that. And I said, this would be a good time for me to do it right now. And so I started it on Sunday night. Today's Monday right now. So it's, I'm over 24 hours into it already. And, it's funny how, once you get to this point where you're beyond a day, like how like a cucumber sounds so good right now.
Yeah.
You know, how much I feel like we really operate.
Our senses are dulled.
They are. We operate in the
Dulled.
place of like, I would say 99% of just cravings. Like, it's never really like true hunger. And it's like, because once that like true kind of hunger kicks in, literally the things that I don't like, it sound good because it's got nutritional value to it. And it's just like, I would love a carrot right now. I would love, these are foods that I don't even like really. But I mean,
Cucumber, carrot.
Zucchini's next, maybe? Eggplant.
Big bananas.
Of course you guys would go that way. Of course you guys would go that way.
Popsicles?
Yeah.
You ever see?
Hey,
there's only one proper way to eat a banana, by the way. You ever
Oh,
see?
you got to slice it off.
With a knife.
Yeah.
Knife and fork.
You ain't putting
That's
that
the only way I eat my bananas.
Yeah, anyway.
I'm on a no food, no sex, no weed. So I'm doing all three that I cut out starting this weekend and stuff. So so far so good. I mean, everything's doing really good. It's perfect timing for me too.
I up my heroin.
All the other things that I took over. No, it's been really good. And I'm getting ready right now. So tonight tonight will be challenging because I'm actually going to prep while I'm going through the fast. So
Wait, meal prep?
Yeah. Because I want to be ready when I come out of it. And I know one of the things I remember from the last 48-hour fast I did, it's like, boy, your stomach is really sensitive the first few days.
Yep.
So the first day afterwards. So a lot of like broth and easy digestible type of things. So that'll be first. And then after that, I'll get into
What are you prepping?
Well, obviously I don't have to prep broth and stuff, but that's actually, I'll come out of it with like chicken broth and things that are really easy. But then I'm going to go like basically chicken and turkey and then a rice and sweet potato. So real basic. I know that Butcher Box is doing this 2-pound thing that they're giving away right now for all your people that sign up. And I know Katrina just changed our box over to a bunch of chicken. So I'm going to barbecue a bunch of chicken.
Thighs, right?
Yeah. I like the thighs. They're doing breast is what they're giving away for free right now. But I'm not a big chicken breast person anymore. Like once I did the math on the macros, I was like, why was I punishing myself and eating chicken breast all the time? It made no sense. All to save 20 calories or something.
Wow. So you're going to straight prep style.
Yeah. Well, I've been prepping a little bit already. Like, so I've been pretty good for, I want to say 3-4 weeks now where I've been I'm not measuring it. So I should say that, right? Because everyone's used to me when I'm talking about prep or whether I'm not weighing at all. And I'm not like, so I'm not tracking my macros.
This is phase 1.
Exactly. That's how, I mean, right now I'm just making good food choices, having meals prepared that are balanced and good for me, eating when I'm hungry, disciplining myself not to fall into the cravings and making a choice. I tell you what, I think, every time I do stuff like this too, I'm reminded of like how challenging yet easy it really is to get in shape. And let me explain. Like, every time I'm like this, there's always a moment in the day or the evening where I have a quote unquote craving. And many times I haven't hit my daily maintenance of calories I should probably hit, and I need more food. And if I just make the decision to go eat the balanced prepped meal that I have in there, I feel amazing. I continue to lean out. I continue to build muscle. It's that when instead what I really felt like having is a thing of ice cream or like some chips or crackers or like snack stuff, versus just going and having a meal like that. And I always, catch myself having that feeling and then going, oh, cool, I have that prepped meal. I go eat it. And then as soon as I eat it, I'm completely satisfied. I feel so good afterwards. It tastes good even going down. But it's that mental game that moment where you just have to have that discipline of like making the better choice. It's like, it reminds me of the generic advice that we give today about like clients and telling them like, I don't need a client to weigh and track and measure. It's just in those moments, make the decision to eat the whole foods. And I'm not going to tell you can't. If you're hungry, go eat. Like literally go eat. Yeah. But make that choice. Make a choice that is balanced like that.
Game changer.
Yeah, and don't eat processed crap. And I guarantee you will lean out and get in shape. It's just having the discipline to not do the other stuff. This is why I also think that the movement, we haven't talked about it in a long time, when we used to get on the IIFYM thing so hard, because it allows you to put in the processed foods and do other stuff.
And
So
that's what a lot of people do with it.
Yeah. And so it fits the macros. And then you're challenged again with those cravings. So you actually, you allow yourself to do those things. So I get it. And so maybe it allows some balance. And I'm not saying that I 100% always eat perfectly whole foods, but if you just focus on that, it actually makes the craving part so much easier than trying to fit it in your macros and be consistent for longer. Because before long, when you're just eating those whole foods, it doesn't take that long. I would say for me, I noticed it around weeks 2 to 3 when I stopped craving those things so much.
I'll tell you right now, if somebody needed to lose 30 pounds, if all they did was eat whole natural foods and nothing else, I bet you they would lose at least 15 to 20 pounds just from doing that alone.
Yeah.
Maybe the last 10, they would require a little bit of dialing. But the first 15 to 20, they would eat as much as they want, whole natural food. And that's just my experience training clients. And I think the solution, it's 80% of the solution.
And that's what I meant by it's easy yet challenging, right? It's literally that easy because we try and overcomplicate things with the calorie counting, the macro breakdown, stuff like that. Like eat whole foods. Every time you go to eat them, make sure a majority of it's coming from protein. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Don't be distracted. You're good.
Yeah.
Hey, check this out. There's this company we work with called LMNT, and they make electrolyte powder, no artificial sweeteners, with the right amount of sodium to power you through your workouts, to help with low-carb dieting. It helps with the cravings, helps with the muscle cramps. Basically makes you feel better. It tastes amazing, and it's got the right amount of sodium. It's real effective electrolyte powder. Again, no artificial anything. Also, right now, LMNT is offering our listeners a free sample pack with any order. So that's 8 single-serving packets for free with any LMNT order. Just go to drinklmnt.com/mindpump. All right, here comes the rest of the show.
Our first caller is James from Australia.
James, what's happening? How can we help you?
Hey guys, so I've been listening to you guys for about 3 or 4 years now, and you guys have helped me heaps along the way, and it's good to hear some real truths about fitness and health in general. My question is, so I feel I'm in pretty good physical shape at the moment. I go to the gym about 5 to 6 times a week, usually for about 1 to 2 hours. I'd say I'm about 9% body fat and quite muscular and lean, and have been in this shape for the last 3 years. I work in corporate 9 to 5. I'm extremely busy all the time, and I quite often have a lot of fatigue. At one stage, I thought I could have had a bit of chronic fatigue. I find I don't have much downtime, and I'm starting a new job soon, and it's going to be really important for me to prioritize learning this job. And I'll probably need to cut back on exercise to do so. That's probably going to be pretty hard for me because in the past, I've relied on exercise for my mental health benefits. I've had challenges in the past with mental health. So it might be hard for me to cut down on it because I'm pretty reliant on it. So basically my question is there a way to keep my current shape that I have physically with less time in the gym, or do I need to adjust my mindset and expectation of how lean and muscular I want my body to be? And part 2, from a diet perspective, if I'm working out less, should I reduce my calories?
Okay, let's go with the first one, the first part of that question, James.
I want to know more, too, about how his training is. If you're training 5-6 days a week, what does it look like typically?
Well, before we get there, James, you said that you need the mental aspect of exercise, but your question is my body going to change? So is it the exercise itself or the mental part of not looking a particular way? I need to understand that before we get a little deeper.
Yeah, look, it's a bit of both. It's the exercise for sure, but I do find I'm probably a bit obsessive about staying lean and muscular. Just for a bit of background, I sort of in my early 20s, I got up to about 233 pounds. I'm in Australia, so I looked that up before I got on. And now I'm down to about 191 and have been that way for a while. So there is a little obsessive aspect to staying lean. And, you know, balancing a full-time job and doing that can be hard.
Yeah, I want to caution you on something I heard you say too. You said, I am and I need. And if you're saying that to yourself already, it's going to be really, no matter what advice Sal or any of us give you right now, it's going to be really tough for you to break free from that. So the very first thing that has to change before you're working out has to change is that you identify with this way. Like, that's you saying I am and I need is like a very powerful statement to put over yourself. So keep that in mind as like we're going through and giving you advice on how we might want to change the way you lift and eat.
Yeah, such a wise thing to say, Adam. And also consider, you know, if you're looking to do this for the rest of your life and you're noticing some of the benefits of exercise, the positive benefits of exercise, because it's such a powerful tool that it can also go dark, right? There's also dark sides, and people can become obsessive and all that stuff. But you're noticing a lot of the positives. And if you want to make this a lifelong journey, one of the things that you have to start to begin to understand is that it's a tool that can change and you can manipulate it to improve the quality and context of your life. It is not life itself. Okay, so exercise is not life itself. It's a tool that improves, it can improve life, can improve the context of life. So that's the big picture thing. But let's boil down now to more of the specifics. Adam originally had asked you what your workouts look like. Let's get into that for a second here. So you work out 5 or 6 days a week. What kind of a routine do you typically do? And are you still experiencing lots of fatigue at the moment before you even change out of anything?
So actually in the last 2 weeks since sending the question, I've tried my hardest to cut down. So I've been doing about 4 days a week now. But so over the last couple of years, it was, 5 to 6 days, and it would be sort of an upper lower split. No set program, which I know you guys will hate, but sort of an upper lower split, and then focusing on areas as I go that I feel that I need to within that sort of outline.
And how long are the workouts, or how intense are the workouts?
Yeah, I mean, sort of first few years pretty intense, and probably an hour and a half on average, I'd say.
Okay. Wow. And how do you feel right now? Are you noticing? Well, first off, how did you feel before? Were you having a lot of fatigue, and then has there been any changes since you went to 4 days a week?
Yeah. Oh, there was some times where it'd be like a Monday and working from home, and I'd be like on the couch with the laptop, so tired, and felt like there was something wrong almost. So I went and got bloods done and stuff. And then since cutting down, I feel a little bit better, a bit more energy, which is good. So
okay. So now the part of the question where you said, you know, what's going to happen basically to my body if I work out less? Based off the information you're giving me, your body's going to improve.
Yeah.
So here's the beauty of where you're kind of being forced is that you may actually notice the wonderful side effect of better results, you know, better aesthetic results. Now I'm going to caution you, don't focus so heavily on the aesthetics, because what it'll push you into doing the more camp. What I think you should focus on is the feeling better side. So, okay, I'm doing less. I'm feeling better. Let me keep focusing on that. And then you're going to be surprised. This happened to me years ago. I had a health scare, and it was a side effect of the fact that I focused on my health. I had to ignore aesthetics because it's mentally what I had to do in order to continue improving my health. And a year into this journey, I realized I look better than I ever had before. And that's when I pieced it together and said, oh yeah, if I'm healthy, I'm going to look great. But based off of what you're telling me, you're probably going to get stronger. You're probably going to have more energy. You're probably going to improve your ability to stay lean, not reduce your ability, because it sounds to me like you're just doing too much. You've already switched to 4 days a week and already noticed that you feel better. I think you're going in the right direction. That's what I think, and that's going to give you better results.
James, have you followed any MAPS programs?
No, I haven't. I've had a few friends that have, and have had really good results. But no, I haven't.
No FOMO there or anything?
No FOMO. Yeah. Shame on you, James.
There is a bit.
I mean, to me, this conversation screams MAPS anabolic.
Totally.
And going down to a 3-day-a-week full body routine. And the other thing that I would even add, because just a wild guess, You probably are a superset, love to train to failure type of guy too. Okay.
Yeah,
So
spot on.
not only would I make you go to
How
Maps.
did you guess that, Adam?
I know, right? I would make
the
you
wizard.
I would make you go to Maps Anabolic, and the thing is, if I was your coach, that I would stress is 2 in the tank. I would say, no, we're not training to failure in this program. Follow it to a T. Everywhere that it says a rep range, you better be able to get 2 more. I better not see you struggling to get the last rep up or not being able to get the last rep up. You're moving too much weight, so I'd make you do that. And I would just say, trust the process. I believe where you're at shape, and I bet you're going to get what Sal is saying. And the hardest part for you is going to be the mental switch, is going from the 6-day-a-week training with intense, superset, failure guy. Now all of a sudden you got to follow this 3-day-a-week full body routine, and your coach Adam is telling you to go 2 in the tank, never go to failure.
Sit in that rest and not do anything.
Yes, and watch your body respond to you, because for once you're actually working with it versus against it. I mean, you have reached your success with your physique where you're at right now in spite of doing it the way your body wants you to do it. Now, if you start to train it the way it wants you to train it, I bet you get even better results. You feel better with less work.
Yeah, and then the second part about your diet, you're saying you're pretty lean. In your question you wrote about 9% or so. So you're in the lean percent range of body fat. I wouldn't change your diet. I would keep the calories the same and fuel what's probably going to be more muscle growth. So I would keep the diet the same. Your body, what's happening to me right now as I'm listening to you is you're overtraining for your body right now, and you need less exercise, and your body needs to repair and refuel. So I'd keep the calories the same. I'd do MAPS anabolic, and then what's probably going to happen is you're going to gain muscle. You're going to gain muscle, and as a result of that, your body fat percentage might actually go down. Not because you're necessarily losing body fat, but rather because you gained a few pounds of muscle. So your overall body fat now is just a smaller percentage of your body weight. I've experienced this myself, where I've dropped the volume down and I got leaner, even though I was eating the same. So that's what I would do. I would not have you do a cut at all. I'd have you eat the same, follow a program like MAPS Anabolic, and probably by week 3 or 4, you're going to be like, oh crap, this is exactly what I needed.
Yeah. Doug will send that over to you.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, it does. I think that's probably what I needed to hear. I had inklings that was the case, but no, I'm actually kind of looking forward to having more time in the week, and hopefully, keeping exactly the same, but being in decent shape. So.
One last thing before you go, James. One, I'd like to hear from you after you've gone through it, because I think it's going to do wonders for you. 2, the last bit of coaching I'm going to give you is, you're also, because of the type of person you are, you're going to have a tendency to want to get after trigger sessions. Trigger sessions are more designed to be recuperative. So use bands, okay? I'm going to make I would not allow do body weight. I would not allow you to do dumbbells or anything. They say you have to use bands. Use the lightest orange band, or whatever color band is the lightest band over there. Use that, and you're just doing a little 10-minute little pump. That's it. That's all you're allowed to do. Don't let me hear you're turning it into workouts.
Yeah, 3 workouts a day.
All right, I promise. I promise.
All right, James. We'll send
I'll
that
let
over
you know
to you.
how I go.
All right. Thank you, James.
You got it, man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You got it. Right. What do they use for weight over there? He said you had to look up
kilograms.
Pounds. Is it kilograms?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's why.
I weigh
rocks.
I weigh 2.5
stones.
Yeah, that's I weigh 2.5 kangaroos or something like that. All right, that's enough. I was waiting for that. You know what's funny is
wallabies.
Yeah, people don't. Thanks, Justin. I'm not the only one that said like an idiot. You know what's funny about this is you reduce when you're slightly overtrained or you're doing too much. People are so afraid of bringing the volume down or the intensity down because they're like, oh my God, my body is going to go downhill in terms of the way it looks. It's like, no, it actually looks better. And people are always blown away by this. Like, well, this doesn't make sense. I'm doing less.
It's like they get nervous about it. It's
yes.
Like, I can't do this, even though it's like working, just because it's so different than what they were
totally. And what Adam said is 100%. Like, he looks and feels the way he does in spite of his crappy workout program. It's not working for him.
Yeah.
So it's like you end up getting better results by doing less. I've done this, I don't know, at least 20 times in my personal workout career.
He's in a great transition for this too. And what I would be really interesting if he was a client, or hopefully we can catch back up with him, is I bet. So one of the things I notice when I'm getting chronic fatigue or I'm exhausted like this or I get bad sleep or whatever is the cravings are so high when I'm at that state. And so it's like this mental struggle all the time to be dialed on my diet, or I'm always trying to out exercise my bad decision I made earlier in the day or yesterday. And so I think he'll even find the dieting piece will get easier for him when he actually scales back on the intensity and the amount of training that he's doing. He's going to, hopefully we'll hear it's 10 times easier to be as fit or fitter.
Our next caller is MJ from Utah.
MJ, what's happening? How can we help you?
How's it going, guys? So the other day I was doing dumbbell rows. Just started getting into bodybuilding and I'm trying to do unilateral movements. As I was doing the dumbbell rows on my left side, as I'm pulling through the movement, I could feel my back being engaged through the entire movement. And I can feel that I'm working the muscles in my left side of my back. But on the right side, when I'm pulling up, it feels pretty different. I don't feel as much engagement. I feel like I can't flex the right side of my back. And so I was doing a lot of research on just building that mind-muscle connection. I just want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on how one can go about building muscle connection with any muscle in general, and just like what are the benefits of doing that if there are any.
Yeah.
Fun bodybuilding question right here.
Yeah. Are you so barring any injuries you've had or anything like that, which it sounds like you're just regular person working out. The best way to build that mind to muscle connection is repetition and practice. And you're doing unilateral exercise. That's what you need to keep doing, because if you did a barbell row or a cable row, something bilateral, it'd be much harder for you to work on this discrepancy between right to left. So you're doing the right exercise. It's going to be practice over time. How long does it take to build mind to muscle connection? I mean, it's hard to tell you the length of time, but I can tell you this. When you start to be able to get a pump in the muscle that you're training, that's when the mind to muscle connection really takes off. It's usually like, oh my God, I got a pump in my lats for the first time. Then you get this connection to like what that feels like, and then that really starts to take off. What are the benefits? Well, the benefits are, and the studies actually show this now. We actually have studies that'll back this up. But you're able to target individual muscles with more tension, even with the same load, meaning you have a more targeted approach to sculpting, building, and shaping your body, which is kind of cool with strength training. It's unique to strength training. I can shape my body like a sculptor. So that's kind of the benefits.
I actually love helping somebody with this exact problem. So this is super common, by the way. And what is happening, and I'll tell you how to fix this too, really quick, actually. So the side that you do better with retracting and depressing the shoulder, like let's say for a bench press, is the side that you're going to be able to engage the lat better with. The opposite side that you have a harder time with that is going to be the problem. And so what's happening when you do the row is you're using momentum and rotation from like the obliques to actually row up and less of the lat, where the side that you do a really good job of retracting and engaging. So retracting the shoulder will then engage the lat. You do really well on, and the side you don't. This is super common. Like almost everybody I've ever taught like a dumbbell row for the first time always has one side they're really, really good at doing, and then the other side they tend to row with momentum and not use the lat. So actually, this is where I actually change how I teach the exercise until we get this down. So I would put you, and it's going to be, let's see if I hope I can describe this so you can understand it. If not, maybe I'll shoot a short video for you somehow. So when you get down in the row position, right, you put your knee on the bench and your back is nice and level and flat. Normally what we teach is somebody to kind of drop down and then row up. I will actually keep you in a restricted position. So I will actually tell you, pull the shoulder blades back, and I don't want you to let the shoulder to roll forward. Now that contradicts how we teach in probably our programs and how you'll probably find online.
Yeah, that's not where you want to end up.
Yeah, but this is to teach you how to engage the lat, because what I'm trying to do is I don't want to allow, when the shoulder rolls forward, the lat tends to relax when you're on the side you're not good at this at. And then now the shoulder, and again, the rotation takes in. So I'm going to keep you with your chest out, your shoulders back, and I'm never going to let that shoulder roll forward in the row while you do it.
Never going to let you down.
And another exercise to practice this, to get good at it, is just your normal seated cable row. When you do a seated cable row, You sit up tall and straight, chest is up, you retract the shoulders. Initially, when I teach this exercise, I'm teaching somebody to retract and squeeze, and I actually don't let them roll the shoulders forward. As they get better at engaging the lats, I then teach them to allow the shoulders to roll forward and then come back in, because we've now figured out that mind-muscle connection.
To that point, Adam, would you have them on a inclined bench, so you have a chest-supported position, so it's less likely that they're going to be able to get into that rotation?
Oh, okay. So you mean doing the row in a incline?
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually a good strategy.
You could, but part of what I think what Adam's saying that makes it so effective is learning how to hold yourself in that position first.
Right.
Stabilizing.
Whereas you could do that with the bench, and that can help someone who has a tough time getting to that position.
But it may be a crutch.
Yeah, somebody may just lean on the bench.
The key you're going to have to do, MJ, is you're going to have to reduce the weight. So definitely go way back on like the amount, because now I'm actually making you slowly control, squeeze the lat, and then resist it with the lat. Don't let the shoulder roll forward. Come back, squeeze the lat. Don't let the shoulder roll forward. And I'm gonna have you practice that for a while until you really feel a nice engagement in the lats, and then I will progress you to, okay, now go ahead, throw a little bit of English in there. Go ahead and let the shoulder roll forward, because now you have the ability to mentally stay connected to the lat, and you let it go into full range of motion.
Now, the functional aspect of this, from my perspective, is in terms of the priming going into that as well. We do have this in Prime Pro, but in terms of like a scapular circle and doing that up against the wall. And so what we did with Dr. Brink, so you sort of make a fist, and you're taking your shoulder through all those different ranges. So I'm protracted, I'm retracted, I'm depressed, and then I'm rolling it kind of forward while squeezing and providing tension there in between my shoulder blade, just to try and really focus on squeezing and getting that tense connectivity there.
Is that in Prime, Justin?
It's Prime Pro.
Prime Pro. So MJ will definitely send you Prime Pro. And then I know
But
you
in combo with what Adam's talking about.
I know you can't see me right now, but I did it for you, so you'll be able to watch it hopefully on the video of what I was kind of describing. Does it make sense? Hopefully I'm not like way off. Does it make sense what I'm trying to communicate?
About holding your shoulders back when you're doing the lateral rows?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Speed and momentum are your enemy right now.
Okay.
So slow and less movement is better when you're trying to connect to a muscle. Later on, then you can include more movement. You can include a little bit more momentum depending on the exercise. Only when you can control and connect. So speed, take that out. Go slow. Go light. And that'll help you, and no momentum, and that'll help you connect.
As a coach, I would actually do a weight light enough that I would be behind you and I'd be touching your back and your lat, going, okay, retract. Okay, now when you pull that weight up, squeeze, and I'd make you hold it. I'd say hold it, and I'd be touching your lat, like feel your lat, squeeze, and then I'd be like, keep that squeeze. Now slowly let the dumbbell come forward, but don't let the shoulder roll forward. And then I'd be like, come back in, squeeze really hard, let the dumbbell come down, but don't let the shoulder roll forward again. And I would be sitting there coaching you like that until we get really good at feeling the lat as you let the arm come down and out. And then eventually, like I said, and by the way, if you Google this or look on YouTube, you're going to get conflicting information about this. This is, again, the nuances of what we talk about and do, is that here is an example of how I would break my own rules on how I would teach form and technique on a row. On a row, I actually want a little bit of rotation in there. I want you to stretch the lat out. But when someone is having a hard time firing it, this is just a trainer tip that I've learned over years.
One last thing that's kind of cool about this is when you finally are able to connect to a muscle, it's like learning to ride a bike. It's way easier to do it again. It's that initial, I got to feel and connect to it. That's the hard part. Once you get to it and you get that pump and you squeeze it,
it finds its way to the groove really easy.
Yeah, then you're like, I can do that again. I can reenact that.
And Justin's point about Prime is really important too, because it's hard to tell from the way you're sitting or without assessing you in person. But what's also common is we all are, most everybody's either right or left-handed, right? So you tend to, let's say if I'm right-handed, my right shoulder is rolled forward a little bit more than my left one. And when I go in to do exercises like that, that's the one that has a hard time. So it's normally the hand that you write with or use a lot has a hard time retracting the shoulder. So if it's a posture thing, the priming thing in Prime that we're giving you, a zone 1, the exercise Justin's saying, that'll be really helpful to do that before you go do what I'm telling you to do right afterwards. But all in all, that should help.
So we're going to send you Prime Pro, and there's scapular mobility movements in there. Those are the ones that you should probably practice. Yeah, scapular circles in particular.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
You got it.
So just to recap, what you guys are saying basically is for building mind muscle connection, if I'm trying to improve my physique in any part of my body, start out light and work until I can squeeze each individual muscle and then start building the weight up from there.
Correct.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that because another common thing when teaching somebody mind muscle is people finally figure out how to engage it on the concentric portion, right? So on you rowing up, but then they let the weight drop down. And part of getting really good at bodybuilding is being able to control the weight on the eccentric portion of the exercise. So on the negative, on the way down, being able to resist it with the lat. So that's part of the coaching that I'm
connected the whole time.
The whole time. Like a good bodybuilder will be able to do an exercise and the whole movement on the way up, on the way down, in the isolated position, he or her can feel that muscle the entire time. And that should be the way you think about lifting when you lift weights.
Okay, awesome.
All right. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys.
You got it. I'm so glad you went in that direction, Adam, because
I love that question.
When you're trying to get someone to feel a muscle, you change the exercise away from its ideal form.
I love this question because there's not a lot of times we get to exercise our trainer brains for the audience to so they can see the nuances of things that get debated online.
Yeah.
This is an area that would piss me off, that a kid like this would search for information or even potentially a coach, and then
he'd be like, but I read this and I read
right.
this.
Or he would be like, oh, my bub Adam said for me to do this, and then some other coach would like shit on me. Oh, he doesn't understand biomechanics and range of motion. And then he would just destroy me on what I'm trying to teach this guy. And this is an example of like there's so much gray area to a lot of the stuff we talk about.
It's the individualized part of strength training, and that's what makes it so effective. You got to understand that. And if you're training a specific part or thing, individualizing it to your body and what you need is what's going to get you there the fastest. But there are general truths. That's also true. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about individualization.
Our next caller is Kimberly from Colorado.
Hey, Kimberly. How can we help you?
Hey guys, well, hello Sal, Adam, Justin, and Doug, and everyone behind the scenes. I just want to start off by saying I'm a huge fan. I've been listening for over 1.5 years after my boyfriend introduced your podcast to me, and since then I've never missed an episode. I want to thank you for the content you provide on a daily basis, and the programs that you've created are incredible. We literally have almost every single one. I also love your open discussions in the beginning of the episodes. You guys have me cracking up in the morning on my day to work, and you just put me in a great headspace. Something else I really want to mention is that you guys are a big topic in our household. Whenever my boyfriend and I are discussing like health and fitness, it's often you'll hear us say like, well, Sal says or Adam says. So I just want to thank you for helping me win some discussions. Other than that, I should also thank you for my Viore and Olipop addiction while I'm at it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
But anyways, I appreciate you taking the time to hear my question, so I'll just jump right in. My question is in regards to macro counting and how important it is to be exact on your macros when tracking. Do you have to be precise with your proteins, carbs, and fats and avoid not going over calories for the day? I often find myself going over my fats but not reaching my carbs or protein in a day, but have already hit my calories for that day. I wonder if this results in me not seeing results with my cut that I'm currently doing in regards to the scale. Also, how exact do you need to be when you're tracking your food? For example, are you meant to be tracking like sauces, beverages, creamers, etc., or are you only focusing on the food aspect? I would appreciate any guidance you have on this topic, as I feel it's the trickiest aspect of weightlifting and living this lifestyle. My background, I'm 29 years old, 5'7", 161 pounds with 23% body fat, according to my weight scale at home. I'm currently in a cut and eating around 1,600 calories with my macros set at 160 for protein, 44 fat, 140 for carbs. And I got these numbers from the Mind Pump calculator online. My goal is to lose weight, lower my body fat percentage, and see more defined muscles in my body, especially in my legs. I have been on a cut for almost 2 months with no weight loss. I'm currently in phase 3, week 2 of MAP split. I try to get 12 to 14 steps a day and have started to do some cardio following my lifting sessions 2 to 3 times a week of either the Stairmaster or sprints for 20 minutes to try and see if that will help my weight loss and lower my body fat. I am scared to go on a bulk and gain weight as before I went into my cut, I was maintaining at 2,300 calories. And before that, I was bulking at 2,900 calories. I am going on vacation in less than 2 weeks. So that is another reason why I have been working extra hard to get in shape. Thank you again for taking the time to listen to my question and hopefully provide some helpful advice.
All right. Well, there's a lot that I want to touch here. First off, congratulations. You're in shape. So I think you accomplished.
And you found a really good guy, it sounds like.
Yeah, he sounds
Oh
amazing.
my God, he's amazing. Like he is like a wealth of knowledge for health and fitness, and he's really helped me a lot. Shout out to Sam, but really helped me a lot, and he introduced me to your podcast, like I said, and then we, for the past year and a half, have just been running strictly MAPS programs.
Awesome. All right, so a couple questions here. I'll answer the easy ones. Like when you're tracking, should you count sauces and stuff like, anything that has calories, anything that has macros, if you are tracking, needs to be a part of the equation because it all counts. Okay, it's all going to count. The second part, which is kind of like, I guess the question is kind of like, what's more important, calories or macros?
Yeah.
Okay, if you're hitting your basic needs with your macros,
protein
especially protein, but you need a certain amount of protein and fat. They're essential. So if you don't hit those, calories don't matter because you literally aren't going to be able to thrive. So if you hit your essentials and if protein is high, it doesn't make that huge of a difference as long as your calories are the same. In other words, if you're 160 grams of protein, 45 grams of fat, 140 grams of carbs, and you're at, let's say, 40 grams of fat, but your carbs are a little higher, your calories are where they're at, that's not going to make that big of a difference. But if you go under 40 grams of fat and that's below your essential fat intake, I don't care what your calories are, your fat's it's gonna matter now. 44 grams of fat, 1,600 calories, kind of low for someone as active as you are. Now you're saying the scale isn't moving. That doesn't mean you're not necessarily changing or getting leaner. So are you stronger? Is your performance different? Does your shape feel different? Do you have different energy? Are you doing a body fat test? Because especially someone like yourself at your body weight, in your shape, the scale, I wouldn't even look at the scale. I mean, I could put 5 pounds of muscle on you and you probably like the way you look better and you'd actually go down in body fat percentage as a result, but the scale will be heavier. See what I'm saying? So how do you feel? How's your strength? How's your performance? Let's talk about that first.
Well, I feel great. And my body is definitely changing. Like I take progress progress photos once a week. And I can definitely see, especially like in my core, my abs are starting to become more defined. And I am seeing those changes. But I think I was just getting a little defeated with the scale because according to the scale, it hasn't changed, which I guess could be a good thing. I was thinking about it, but my body fat percentage also hasn't changed. So I was just seeing some frustration. As far as strength goes, I do track my weight with every workout. So I always try to go up, especially being in week 3 of phase 3 of split. I know it's higher reps, so it's a little bit harder to go up, but I feel great. And I actually just did 95 pounds for 4 sets at 20. So I got to 20 reps. So I'll probably go a little bit higher next week. Okay. So I am seeing the changes. I guess I was just wondering if I'm doing everything right since the scale hasn't gone down.
Yeah. Okay. So you look better in the mirror. You're taking progress pictures. You think your core is leaner. You're stronger. It sounds to me like the scale is a total detriment.
Yeah, throw it away.
Like stop weighing. I mean, look, we could do it.
I don't think we haven't released the episode where I just recently, yesterday when I talked about my client? Remember, you were spot on to the conversation that I just had.
No, it hasn't been dropped yet.
So we're about to drop an episode because we did it yesterday of me talking about my client, who, by the way, is going on vacation in 2 to 3 weeks, who, by the way, is also in great shape and looks really good too. And
she's been your client for like 7 years.
Yeah, she's been with me for like 7 years. I've had to have this conversation over, but she has this number in her head of, when she weighs this certain amount, that's when she's felt the best, looked the best in her life. And I've constantly reminded her, you've been training with me now for such a long time that we've built muscle. So that weight doesn't matter to me anymore, even though it matters to you. And where she's frustrated, she's like, I'm in a diet. I'm following the program, doing what you're telling me. And the scale will stay the same for like 2 weeks. And again, I say, I don't care. I know you care because you want to see that and you feel like because you're in a reduced calories and you're doing all this movement that you should be seeing this movement on the scale. But what I told her, I said, listen, if you feel better and you're taking progress pics, and I really think like 2 weeks is the most, like, it's unfair to even say every week to week when you're at the place where you're at, where you're already in that shape, good a shape, is I would say every 2 weeks, if you look back at what you looked like 2 weeks ago and you look better today based off exactly what you're doing right now, I would say stay the course. And I think your body is changing at just the right speed. Now, I'll add a little bit more to this. Also, what I explain to her all the time too is that when you guys get to, you're in good shape, okay? I can tell you're in good shape. The numbers you're giving me, you're in good shape. You really are. But as you want to get to a crazier and crazier level of leanness and definition, the more detailed we tend to have to be on the tracking portion. And so it can matter, but to me, I think the advice is you're doing good, actually. So I think you're doing good by however you're tracking right now, and just fine, because it sounds like all the other markers are heading in the right direction. I would just say be patient. But okay, if you desire a new level that you've never seen your body go to, and you've never taken it to tracking to that level and being consistent with it, well, then that would be my advice, would be to be like, hey, let's step up the tracking. If I was coaching you, I would want even more detailed information. I'd say, okay, well then let's, just like I did to her, I said, okay, if you really want more, we're going to drop your calories, 250 more calories. I want you to get an extra 2,000 steps every day. This is my exact advice to her, exactly where you're at. Very, very similar, everything that we're talking about. And she still wanted to see more. I says, okay, well then it's math. You've been tracking. So reduce your calories by 250, increase your steps, walking 2,000 more steps a day on what your average has been right now. Report back to me. And so now she's seen the scale go down 3 pounds. She's at the weight she wants. And so everybody's happy right now. So that's also an option for you right now, is if you are being consistent with your tracking and you want to go down that bad, then go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you different advice. Specifically, I'm gonna tell you, Kimberly, add 10 grams of fat to your diet. Move to phase 1 of split for the next 2 weeks, and I bet you'll get better change from that switch right there. You've been at 1,600 calories. You've been cutting for a little while. You feel good. I bet if you added a little bit of fat, 'cause I'm looking at your fat intake, 44 grams. Okay, I think you could have a little more fat in your diet, especially young female like yourself. Very important for hormones. Very important for nerve function, skin, hair, all that stuff. I bet if you bumped your fat a little bit, like 90 calories worth, so like 10 grams, and went to phase 1, switch phases for the next 2 weeks, you're not going to see huge changes in 2 weeks no matter what you do. But I bet what'll happen is that 2 weeks is you'll look a little sharper, because you'll get a little more fullness to your muscles. You'll get strength gains, and then you'll go into your vacation feeling really good. And you'll probably get a little boost in metabolism.
Don't miss your protein. That's
no, keep that the same. Yeah.
Make sure you hit your protein intake, because one of the more common things with my female clients is if you're inconsistent with a macro, and protein is the macro you're inconsistent, that's the one that will be the most detrimental to building muscle or looking leaner or whatever the word.
But she's eating 160 grams of protein.
Well, yeah, but she also referenced that that could be up or down, and how much does that matter? That one matters the most when it comes to aesthetics, right? Making sure that you have the look you want is hit that protein intake.
Okay, because I am missing that. Like, it is 160, and I'm usually only getting to like 120 every day.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Then
get it. So
here's I'm going to change what I said.
Add meat. Because that's what, so Sal's telling you get a little bit of fat, go get it from meat then. So target your fat will naturally come up.
Hit your protein intake. That's it. Get that 160 every day and go phase 1 of split or anabolic or, let's see, aesthetic. Phase 1 of any one of those programs, and bump your protein, and take your scale and take the batteries out or put it in the closet. Stop weighing yourself. It's totally messing with your head. And then wait for the compliments from your future husband and watch what happens.
I can only hope one day that will be the case. I did have one more question. What program would you suggest after I finish split?
So you're doing split now.
What'd you do before that?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
We had strong, and then we did power lift before that.
Oh, those are all great.
Performance.
Wow. No, symmetry.
Or symmetry.
Yeah, let's go. Symmetry. Yeah, performance or symmetry. Which one do you want to do? Performance or symmetry? I'm going to throw one at you.
Well, I'm not sure, because we were leaning between anabolic or symmetry, because we have them all, literally.
Okay.
So we were just deciding which one.
Symmetry will be more beneficial based off of what you've been currently doing.
Yeah.
And then anabolic. So I like the anabolic direction, but I also think that
they did power lift. They did
right.
So
I think symmetry or performance will do your body good right now, and then go to anabolic.
Okay. And then how can I like continue my education on the macro counting? Because I think that's where I struggle the most with it. Like, are there any like books or good references that you would point me in?
Lane Norton has a good book. I forget the title of it, but I mean, you'll know it when you see it. I can't think of the title right now.
It's about reverse dieting and
his reverse dieting book is good. So Lane's got a good resource around that. But a lot of that, by the way, too, and even our calculator online, don't get hung up on what these generic calculators say for your body. What's more important, honestly, even though we provide that for people, if you were my client, I actually wouldn't even use that tool. The way I would figure out where I want your macros is I would actually have you just eat how you always eat and just track for me, report to me after a week or two of consistently doing that, and then I would dial it in from there, because that will be more specific to you. And I would dial it in the direction of the goal. If you say, hey, you and I agree, we've been low calorie for a while, let's try and reverse diet and build some muscle, I would increase calories, make sure protein intake is, but keep you just close to where you were currently at, where your maintenance was, that you reported to me, just a tiny surplus. If the opposite goal was true, you say, hey, I want to lean out right now, that's the primary goal, I would have you track again for the 2 weeks, see where you're at, and then I would potentially reduce calories a little bit. So to me, that's a way more accurate way than getting hung up too much on what a calculator tells you, because inevitably you want to find out what your specific number is.
So to recap, hit your protein intake and follow MAP symmetry leading into vacation. Or afterwards, or phase 1 of split, and then go symmetry afterwards. That would be fine too.
Lane has 2 books that would fit here: Reverse Dieting Guide and then the Complete Contest Prep Guide. Even if you're not competing, the idea of learning to track macros at that level sounds like that would be appealing to you.
Yeah, and have a great vacation.
Yeah, where are you guys going?
Oh, we're going to Hawaii, so Oahu and Maui.
Oh, whoa! When are you're gonna be there? What day you leave there?
We're going the 12th to the 25th.
Oh wow, we're gonna be there at the same time. I'll be there. I'm there the 3rd. Oh no, you're just gonna miss me. I'm there the 3rd to the 11th, I think.
Yeah, look for the purple Speedo, then you'll know what's happening.
I'll be looking for sure.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You got it. Yeah, it's the overthinking thing, doesn't it? That's a
Doug just confirmed that conversation is on this episode. Yes. Oh, that'll be great. That'll be great for her.
Yeah.
It's literally like she is literally saying the same stuff that my client is.
Isn't it funny? Like, how many times have you guys heard that? Well, I look better, I feel better, my clothes fit better.
There's still no resolve.
But the scale says something.
Well, it's such
the weight.
Part of why I keep one client and have remained training one client through this entire process of Mind Pump is because it blows my mind that somebody who could be that close to me, have heard me say this 100 times, still needs to hear the message. It's such a reminder to us when we communicate things on this podcast that it doesn't matter that we've said it already 9 times. We've got to say it 10, because it's like people struggle with that much.
I remember I had a client.
Human.
I had a client once who took a week off because he got a really bad stomach flu. And they came back and were like, but the good news is I lost 8 pounds. Like, oh my God. Well, how obsessed are we with the scale that that's good news, in that case?
Our next caller is Nathan from Texas.
Nathan, what's happening? How can we help you?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good, man.
Man, I just want to appreciate everything y'all do. First off, man, I've actually been on here before. I asked a different question, but I have a huge opportunity in front of me right now, and I feel like I need some real expertise, some people that have been through the exact same type of deal, and are where I want to be at, right? So I'll just jump off and say, man, I had an interview with the VP of, I won't say the name of the chain, but it's just a really big chain, like one of the biggest in the world, to be a manager, and he wants me to kind of move up into managing trainers and clubs, and to be like an assistant personal training director and move up to the director of personal training. So my question has to do with like the qualities, disciplines, the things that I would personally need to develop to be the very best person for that position. Something that like I could do on my own, maybe not even showing up to the club stuff, maybe stuff that I could do for myself and that could contribute to me having the best trainers, making sure that they're working the best, down to organization, just pumping out the best kind of people for that position under me, that we can make the most money, help the most people. You know what I mean? Y'all know what I'm saying, but as far as me explaining it, that's really what I'm looking to get at.
Yeah, Sal warned me before we started this to not let this be an hour-long answer, because I could talk to you for an hour about this. I'm going to speak directly on the position you're currently in right now, or that you would have as an assistant director. The one thing I want to caution you about in that position is, I would promote a guy to that position, and they would initially they get this assistant or manager title, and then they all of a sudden want to start telling all the other trainers what to do. That'll be a huge mistake. So rule number one for me when I was in that position is, I'm going to say less, do more. And I want to, and that includes my learning, so educating myself, and then my performance as far as the hours I work and the deals I close. So it's lead from the front, and that because you're going to have a real hard time trying to tell everybody else what to do if they don't respect you in those three categories. If you're not, and it doesn't mean you got to be the smartest guy. I wasn't the smartest guy, but pursuing growth in that area, right? Pursuing education. Outworking everybody. I'm the first guy in, last guy out type of deal. And then I working on my sales ability to close, right? So I'm producing as much or more revenue than anybody else in that club. Those three areas right there should keep you pretty damn busy for a long time. If you reach that and you're already at that area, then we can get into like things that you can do with your staff. And I've got a whole host of things that we could talk all day, and you can hit me offline, and I will be willing to do that for you. But you better come with those three first. If I told you that, and you don't tell me you're enrolled in a new national certification, or you're reading a book at this time, if you tell me you're fourth guy in hours and you're the fifth guy in ranking and revenue, then I'm going to tell you go back to the drawing board and come back to me when you're knocking those three things out first. Then we can talk about leading other people and how to teach other people.
Yeah, I don't really have a ton to add to that, except if you're looking for resources, I would focus on books and resources that work on two different areas, sales and relationship building, and they're very, very closely connected. So sales, because that's going to affect your ability to communicate, and you need to be able to communicate effectively, not just to sell, but also to communicate to your staff and your team this kind of greater purpose. If when you work in gyms are very demanding environments. Right. The gym business is very demanding. It's like you're there all day. It's a lot of energy. You're always on stage when you're out there. You're not in an office where nobody can see you and you can, let your shoulders slump and act like whatever. Like you're out on the gym floor, you're out in the gym, you're on, like people are watching you. So it's a very exhausting. So if you don't really have a deep passion for it, it's almost impossible to do for a long period of time. So learn how to communicate well. So sales. And then relationship building, because the gym business is not about the equipment. It's not about the locations. It's not about how great your gym looks and all that stuff. Although a lot of people think that's what it is. It's not. Successful gyms, it's all about the culture and the relationships that are built in the gym. And I'm not talking about the relationship with your members. That's a part of it. But it's the relationship with the staff. If the culture that the staff has, and the teamwork, the camaraderie, the relationships that the team has, is what ends up flowing out to the members. Okay, so it's like an inverted triangle. They always say customer's always right. Staff is number one. Then the members, that naturally happens. If the team feels like they're behind the purpose, we're working together, it's this greater thing. We're all doing this. This is awesome. We're all growing together. We're checking our egos at the door. The culture's there. You don't got to worry about the members. It's going to happen. If you focus just on the members, forget the team. It's not going to happen. So those are two areas. If you want to grow, I'd go sales and relationship building. And I really don't care what book you read on either one of those. You'll probably get something.
I got good books for that. John C. Maxwell, Developing the Leader Within You. John C. Maxwell, Developing the Leaders Around You. And then 1 Minute Manager. Those 3 books are
Good to Great was good too. That was a great
that's
book.
a great read.
Yeah.
Those 3 books were paramount to my success in regards to the stuff that you're concerned about right now and where you're at. But I can't stress enough, speed of the leader first here. In that industry, the specific chain you're going into is very driven by sales and revenue and production, and it's really tough to get a lot of respect from your peers that you're going to lead them and teach them how to do that better if you don't first do it yourself. So I can't stress that enough, that put your head down and be that guy first, and then the other leadership stuff will come.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, man.
Right on, man.
All right. Well, good luck.
Tell your VP hi, huh?
Yeah. Can I ask you one more quick question?
Sure.
Hey, okay, so look, I'm actually a trainer and a manager at the current club I'm at. It's actually super slow. It's a smaller gym. But I'm the only trainer and I'm the only manager. So I pretty much just run the club. What would be something I could do right now, like to like kind of boost I don't know, maybe like sales or morale or something? I feel like it's so slow.
Nathan, I got you. Okay. One of the first things that I ask when we go speak to trainers about sales, which I have a feeling if I ask you this, you won't be able to give me the number. Can you tell me what your show percentage is, your close percentage, and the average dollar amount that you sell? Can you tell me that?
Oh man, my close percentage right now is like 30%. The show percentage is roughly the same. Only because I see it on the page when I pull it up in the system. But the dollar amount is usually it's like a 1-year plan. So like it's generally like $3,000 or something like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's close.
So then if you actually have that math, you reverse engineer your goal. So you set a goal this month on a dollar amount you want to make. So stretch yourself. Don't get crazy. If you've never written more than, say, $5,000 in personal training, don't try and hit $10,000 the first month. If your top number before, let's say, just for hypothetical reasons, is $5,000, hey, let's try and stretch you to $6,000 or $7,000 this month. Well, if you know what your average sale is, you know what your percentage of show is, then you actually know how many people you need to book to get in front of you. And so then you break it down day by day, like, okay, if I need to hit $7,000 and 30% of the people close, 30% of the people show up, and I'm making these numbers up because I don't have a calculator in front of me, that means I need to book 3 appointments every single day I come to the gym for a total of 90 for the month. So 90 is the goal for the whole month and don't focus so much on the close, on the dollar amount, on the person. Focus on, I just got to get that many people in front of me, and then the numbers will follow. And this is exactly this is the stuff I would get into with you when it comes to teaching your staff later on after you develop it. But you got to first learn to do this yourself, like how to set a dollar amount and how to go after that and how to measure it. And then at the end of the month, we can go back and we can look at your areas. Like, for example, you say 30% show. That's a really bad show percentage for me. So I'd say, what are we doing? What are we doing wrong that is not convincing? And I'm assuming when you say show percentage, are we talking about walk-ins to the gym, or are we talking about showing up to a free fit to see you, like a free appointment to see you?
A free, like a consultation, completely free.
Right. So 30%.
It's a terrible show rate.
It is. And but look at it this way: it's a great area that we can work on and we can improve on your skills. And so that's where, if I was coaching you, we would dive into that. Like, what is that conversation that you're saying to somebody that you can't convince 90% of 9 out of 10 people to come see you for free? What am I saying? And we would break that down, and you and I would work on that communication and that conversation. And maybe what it is you're not rapport building good enough, fast enough. And so I would start you with like, okay, just go introduce yourself to somebody on the floor. Don't try and get the free appointment yet. Just go learn something about them and then come back the second time. And then maybe the second time after you've built a little rapport, then try and get them to come in for free.
It could also be that you book the free workout and then you don't talk to them again until they show up. So sometimes it could be as easy as like calling them twice, some touch points before the show. Honestly, I'd walk into a gym, I'd look at those numbers, and the first thing I would do, which was really easy, was just close more. Because everything else stayed the same. All I had to do was do a little better presentation, move that up 10, 15%, and you see a significant impact. But that's all you got to do is you got to turn the knobs a little bit.
This is the type of stuff that we talk about in the NCI coaching, by the way, too.
I know, and I'm actually following every free training they do. I just haven't invested money yet.
Well, I mean, there's one where you get to listen to Justin, Doug, myself, like once a week. We get on an hour call, and it's very private. There's only normally about 15, 20 other coaches, trainers, managers on there. It's $100 a month, bro. It's $100 a month, and you have access to the four of us, and including Jason. And this is the type of stuff that people, the questions they, and then we can go deeper.
Yeah.
Because this is not like a little 15, 20 minute. I mean, I could go all day on this question and really dive into helping you.
Yeah.
So consider that.
Well, good luck,
So
man.
which one? Is that the coaching mastery, or which one is that?
That's the Doug. Do you know the link right now?
I'm looking for it right now, but I can't see it.
All right. Well,
when we edit this, we'll put it up on there. If Doug doesn't get it right now, I believe it's NCI or Mind Pump NCI. I should know this.
Yeah, it might be Mind Pump NCI. I'm looking at NCI Mind Pump, and it's not that one.
yeah,
so
it might be Mind Pump NCI. It'll be on this episode when we put it up, and I'll make sure that Doug sends it over to you, or whoever you contacted on the episode sends you the link so you can get yourself signed up.
So I'm running performance right now. Can I add abs into it? Because I feel like I don't get enough ab work.
Yeah, that's fine. You're a trainer, right?
Yeah.
All right. There you go.
Yeah, NCIMindPump.com.
NCIMindPump.com. And yes, you can add a little abs. If you're a trainer, you know what
Okay.
you're doing so.
I don't hit my core like I should.
Yeah.
I love it, though. It's a great program, man. I appreciate y'all.
I got you, my
To the
friend.
mo-
Thank you,
to the
Nathan.
most.
Thanks, buddy.
Have a good one, bro.
You too.
Take it easy. What do you think about his beard, Justin? I know you were watching that. Right?
Yeah, I like it.
That's
Decent.
that's a
Hard not to go really long.
well, there's
Oh, I
so
know.
much, dude, in the running gyms. There's so much there. But I think he asked some of the right questions. But honestly, it's what you said at the out is 100% it. Like if you just do that, that's like 90%. Like the rest is important
making
too.
your goals more specific and really like paying attention to those metrics, writing it out, and like what you can like turn that knob up just slightly to bring more yield.
Well, I really wanted to just the first thing I came out with on him was like that's the biggest mistake I see with
Yes.
people making that position.
Yes.
Is
If you don't do that, it's
right.
real hard.
They
to
get
do.
promoted for whatever reason. They're a good trainer, or they have an opportunity and
Now
stuff
I'm
like
the
that.
boss.
Yeah, now I'm the boss. Now, what are the things I tell everybody else what to do? It's like, whoa, pump your brakes.
That's a huge mistake.
Yeah, like you got to go out there and
You got to earn it.
yes, and that was like the move. Every time I got a new staff or I was transferred to a new club, I actually said very little to my staff. It was I kind of sat back, kind of observed, watch, and actually all I did was I went to work. It was like, let me show these guys and girls like what time it is. In these 30 days, I'm in a brand new club, so I'm at a disadvantage, right? If you're trying to build a business in a club you've never been in, and they obviously all know they're at an advantage, I'm at a disadvantage, but yet watch me outproduce everybody here. Then you immediately have everybody's attention.
Yep.
Immediately.
Well, I didn't bring it up because it was just going to go on to another hour conversation. But there's another like great thing that you did while I was, training underneath you there was just empowering the staff and having them lead classes, having them teach the other trainers, and like really involving them in the mix in terms of it not being this sort of authoritarian type of a management
culture, man.
situation. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. Look, if you love Mind Pump, you will absolutely love mindpumpfree.com. This is where we have all of our free guides. We made a bunch of guides. They're free to help people with their health and fitness goals. Again, mindpumpfree.com. You can also find us on social media. So Justin is on Instagram at mindpumpjustin. Adam is on Instagram at mindpumpadam. You can find me on Twitter at mindpumpsal. This one's really important, and that is to phase your training. If somebody trains for a full year doing a bench press and they're always aiming for 5 reps, if you compared that person to a person who did bench press where they did 3 or 4 weeks of 5 reps, but then they did 3 or 4 weeks of 12 reps and then 3 or 4 weeks of, let's say, 15 to 20 reps, and then they'll throw in some supersets. At the end of that year, you're going to see more consistent progress from the person who's moving in and out, and less injury. That's another thing. You'll see less injury as well.